What's up, everybody? Good morning. Welcome to a Saturday edition of Morning Scone, presented by Brock, the Baton Rouge Orthopedic Clinic, Hoodco Roofing, hoodcoroofing.com, ProCharge EV, ProChargeEV.com, and Restored Motions, restoredmotions.com. Hope your Saturday's off to a great start. Hope you all had a great Friday. Had a really good show at Zurich Classic yesterday. Weather turned out to be gorgeous down there after a rainy morning. Boy, it really just was a picture perfect, gorgeous afternoon and early evening. Always fun to go do the show down at Zurich. It's a beautiful setting for a show, and they're so hospitable all the time. So great time yesterday. If you're thinking of something to do this weekend, go to Zurich. Like it's an easy ride. From you take I-10, you take Clearview over the Huey P. You make a left on the Palco, and it's right there. I mean, I don't know that it could be any easier. So y'all go if you're looking for something to do, worth it. Spring game today at 1:00, and baseball today at 2:00. So Tigers win game one. They beat Ole Miss 7-3. Paul Skeens, it's amazing the standard he set, because we're going to say, yeah, Paul Skeens, wasn't his sharpest yesterday, and still had 11 strikeouts through 6 innings, which is just, that's just crazy. 11 strikeouts through 6 innings. And we're like, yeah, didn't have through 117 pitches. Didn't have his best stuff, but he walked 3. Oh man, he has completely spoiled us with what an ace is and should look like. He was awesome. The top of the order did their damage. Good to see Gavin Dugas back. He was 1 for 4 with a double, but the other 3 were all strikeouts. So that was disappointing. Trey Morgan was 1 for 4 and a walk. Dylan Cruz was 1 for 4 with a walk. Scored twice. Tommy White was 2 for 5. Should have been 3 for 5 with 5 RBI, because the rocket shot he hit in the first inning, they ruled an error on Jacob Gonzalez. He hit, at the shortstop, went into left field. I cannot believe they ruled that an error, but whatever. But after the first 4, it was a really, really disappointing day offensively. Until LSU got the 2-out rally in the 8th, where Joe Bear singled, stole second, and then Milazzo got the RBI single to get him home with 2 outs. 5 through 9 were hitless, aside from those 2 singles in the 8th. And they struck out 6 times. 5 through 9 did. Thompson was 0 for 5. Beloso was 0 for 3. Did walk twice. Jones was 0 for 4 with 3 strikeouts. Joe Bear, as we mentioned, was 1 for 4. Milazzo was 1 for 4. I don't like Jordan Thompson in the 5-hole. I'm gonna say this, and I'm going to stand by this unless if we see something that changes the opinion. But having Joe Bear in the 7-hole and Thompson in the 8 makes your lineup impossible to handle, because you cannot ignore those 2 guys in the bottom third of your lineup. I understand why you would want to move Thompson up, get him more RBI opportunities hitting behind Tommy White. But I gotta have production in the bottom third of my lineup. Otherwise, you just become too top heavy and you allow pitchers to extend through games, because if they can have easy innings when they're facing the bottom third, or really after they get through the 4 or 5-hole hitter, that's how you let guys extend. So, didn't love it, man. So I would love to see them revert to Joe Bear in the 7-hole, Thompson in the 8-hole. Your lineup is just better that way. It's better 1 through 9 that way. Griffin Herring was awesome in relief. 3 innings of scoreless ball. Struck out 3, walked 2. Did not allow a hit. It was awesome. Someone asked last week if, when I say Griffin Herring was LSU's best lefty, someone was like, "Oh, we're not getting ahead of ourselves there. We're sure that it's not." Riley Cooper. I'm like, no, Riley Cooper's not your best lefty. The freshman who keeps coming in and shoving, who they keep giving the ball to first out of the bullpen every time, that's your best lefty. Anyway, we'll say some good mornings here in a second. The big moment in the game, of course, came in the bottom of the 4th, top of the 5th, where Will Furniss hit the 3-run homer, and then Tommy White responded with the grand slam. The one thing I'll say about this is the biddy ball field giveth, and the biddy ball field taketh away. So, yes, Will Furniss hit a 3-run homer. My gigantic problem with that park is it is 365 to the power alleys. I think Will Furniss's homer went 366. Like, at the box, that is an out. At best, for Will Furniss, at the box, that is a single. An RBI single, but a single. When it's 365 to the power alleys, that's a 3-run homer. Similarly, they did the track man on Tommy White's homer, and they said it went 404. It's 405 to straightaway center at the box. So Tommy White's grand slam also would not have been a home run at the box. He would have doubled off the wall, and it probably would have cleared the bases. But anyway, I was seeing Twitter, people like, "Oh, Will Furniss crushed that." No, he didn't crush that ball. He did not crush that ball. He hit a dying fly ball to right center that would have been an out in most ballparks in the world. But it's 365 to the power alleys at Swayze and 385 or 390 to straightaway center. So both of those balls got out. So biddy ball park giveth, biddy ball park taketh away. Down the lines, it's fine. I think it's 325, 330 down the line, that's fine. But to the alleys and the straightaway center, it's embarrassing. For an SEC park to be 365 in the power alleys is embarrassing. Okay, I've spoken my piece. All right, so Tigers go for the series win today. Let's see what y'all got. We'll say some good mornings. Thomas Bergeron, Mark McCarter. Please stop asking about Haley Van Lith. Like, I'm not trying to be rude. I have no idea. Like, guys, nobody cared about women's basketball until 3 weeks ago. And I get it. They won a national championship. Everyone's excited. You should be. But, like, I don't have, like, I don't know who, like, I'm guessing many of you did know who Haley Van Lith was a month ago. So, like, I would love for her to come to LSU. I would love for all that to work out and all, but I don't know. I'm not going to be your source on women's basketball recruiting. I'm just not. I'm sorry. So, Mark, by the way, I'm sorry, Mark. I'm not being rude to you for the question. I apologize. Like, because a lot of people are asking me about that. I am not your source on women's basketball recruiting. That's never going to be me. So, a lot of people keep asking. I'm just being very, very candid with you. I'm not going to be your source on that. I'll probably learn when everyone else does, maybe like a millisecond before. Ryan Dixon, Musso was good on the broadcast last night. You think he sounded like I think I remember this from last year or something. You think he sounds like the color analyst from Ole Miss? Oh, so Richard Cross is the play-by-play guy. Richard's fantastic. He's a good friend, and He does afternoons on Super Talk Mississippi, like statewide. He basically has a show in Mississippi, kind of like AFR would be in Louisiana. Afternoon drive syndicated all throughout the state. Um, and by the way, every year at Media Days, generally I go have dinner with Richard and the Super Talk Mississippi guys. One of the nights we're at Media Days. So the guy who did play by play last night he's fantastic, very talented guy, good friend, all that stuff. I don't know who did the color, and I think that's who you're talking about. Derek Adams, Todd Peterson, go Tigers. Keep improving on the baseball field. Truax, what's up? Quentin Brakebill, Bubba Smith, Rode Yule, good morning. Hunter Elliott on a 50 pitch count today. Did they announce that? I didn't see. Okay, after they said it'll be around 50. Okay. So Hunter Elliott going today, I think, is just a really fascinating part of this weekend, right? That guy when he's right, he's a true ace. He's a dominant lefty, and oh gosh, I don't know if y'all can hear that. Drew's watching this video. Many of y'all who watch Morning Scone during vacation, y'all have met my nephew Eli. Well, when Drew was maybe a year old, Eli 8 years ago, Eli would have been 4 or 5. And I don't know why I videoed this, but I did. Oh my God, I need to delete that video. Drew, can you find Duke, please? Drew, where's Duke? So there's this video. And so Eli's older sister is Reese. And so Reese is almost 16. She'll be 16 in June. But at this time they were 7, 8 years old, whatever. And I'm teasing Eli, who's 5 years old at the time. Like, Eli's gonna marry Channing, who is Reese's friend. And so Eli, I don't know if y'all can hear it, he's going, no, stop. He's just yelling, stop. It's on like video, yelling stop. And then Drew starts crying. And then Papa, aka Papa Rock, was putting Drew in Papa's truck with Eli. And then he's like, stop it, Eli, you're making Drew upset, because Drew's a baby. He's like a year old, and Eli's just yelling right next to him, and so Drew starts crying. It was a disaster. Anyway, I have this video, and I was just teasing Eli, but and Drew watches it all the time, so I don't know if y'all can hear it, but it's like, I go, Eli's gonna marry Channing, and he's like, ah! Oh man, I need to delete that video. All right, Jesse Post, good morning. Trivia Carter, what's up? A BML Era 7, good morning. If we sweep, do we keep number 1 ranking? I mean, if you win 2 out of 3, you're going to keep the number 1 ranking. Dane Lambert, Larry Garner, G. Brumfield, 1971, great win. Enjoyed watching in the valley with LSU friends after shoveling snow all morning. Oh gosh. Hunter Picard, good morning. Gary Petrie, good morning. My reference yesterday was about Haley being Kim 2.0. When do we? Yeah, okay. Again, another Haley Van Lith question. I have no idea. D, good morning. Aaron Fontaine, good morning, Scone and fellow Sconers from Fuquay, Varina, North Carolina. Okay. Old Tommy Tanks was robbed of an RBI. Yes. So if you weren't watching, and this is, I always find it funny. I mean, I guess I don't know a better way to do it. You have to have an official score. So every home venue has an official score. And like, I think at the box, I think it's Brian Lazar for most games. Anyway, for a long time it was Joe Macaluso. But anyway, so Tommy White hit a missile at Jacob Gonzalez at short in the first, which scored Dylan Cruz, and they ruled it an error on Gonzalez. I mean, my God, the ball, like, now I'll grant you, Gonzalez tried to backhand it, and now it would have taken a brave human to get in front of that ball, but he probably should have gotten in front of the ball and tried to knock it down with his chest if he couldn't have gloved it. But he tried to backhand it, and it skipped off and went into left field. That's still a really tough error. That should have been a single, an RBI single. They also robbed Jordan Thompson of a hit when they ruled it a throwing error on Gonzalez. Thompson hit a dribbler towards short. Gonzalez got to the ball and made the throw, which the throw was late anyway, but the throw went past first base. And the catcher was backing it up, so it didn't go into left field or to right field or anything. But had the ball, the throw, allowed Thompson to get to second, then I could have understood single advance to second on the throwing error. But they just ruled the throw an error, which was just bizarre. I mean, Jacob Gonzalez got saddled with 2 errors he didn't deserve, and they robbed both Thompson and White of hits. And then later, the batter just before Furness hit the homer hit a chopper to Skeens that went high. Skeens gloved it, and then it went off his glove towards second base. Anyway, and they ruled that a hit, which was the proper ruling, just bizarre. Anyway, Zach Linz, good morning. Damon Gilmore. I think that's supposed to be velo, dropped all the way to 96. Yeah, that's the first time we've seen Skeens' velo drop that low in the later innings. Like, normally we'll see him still dot 98, 99 at the end of his outings, but he was struggling to get 95, 96. So it was a long outing. I think Ole Miss probably just showed the best strategy against Skeens, which is you got to be patient, try to drive up his pitch count, and get him out of the game. Now, he still went 6 innings because he's a horse that can throw 117 pitches and strike out 11, right? But they got him over 100 pitches after 5. And I think but for Will Furness coming up in the 6th, because remember when Furness hit the homer, he was fist pumping and he was all... Skeens don't take kindly to that, man. Like, Skeens is a competitor, and I think and I'm not blaming Furness for being excited. It was a big moment in the game, and he homered off the guy who might be the number 1 pick of the draft. So, okay. Like, I have no problem with Furness showing emotion. I say that all the time. But I think Skeens' day would have been done but for the fact that he was going to face Furness in the 6th, and he wanted him again, and he struck him out. So, Hunter Fournette loves seeing Herring go through a little adversity with the walk and hit by pitch, still buckled down, got it done. Yeah, man, he's been phenomenal. Absolutely. I mean, Herring and Guidry right now are your best, most consistent arms out of the bullpen. I'm curious if we see Ackenhausen today. We might. Of course, we may see Javen Coleman out of the bullpen. See how the bats go today. But a big part of it, I think, is going to be, how does Hunter Elliott look? Smash that like button if you would. 125 watching live on YouTube. Appreciate that. 22 likes. We can get those likes up a little bit. Please subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so yet. Facebook, please like the page, share the post. Robert Lynch, good morning. Jeff Hawk, good morning from Kansas City. Cool, breezy, sunny, 39 degrees. Bro, you got to get home, dog. 39 degrees. Wow. It's sunny and 66 right now. It's a beautiful morning. We're getting up into like 75 range. I mean, this is perfect. Like, this is spring in Louisiana right now. It's awesome. Steve Blanchard, any concerns with Skeens fading down the stretch 2 weeks in a row with not his best stuff? No. I think, Steve, so I do understand why you asked the question. It's just common. Like, you don't always have... Pitchers just don't always have the feel and the dominance to, like, every single time out. But he was plenty good enough to win. I mean, the only thing he gave up was the homer to Furness that, as I said when we started here, wouldn't have been a homer in most college ballparks. So, I mean, again, like a chopper before that goes over his head. If he gloves it cleanly and throws to first base, the inning ends and Paul Skeens goes 6 unscathed. And our conversation is different. Hunter Picard, not knocking JT because he has a great glove at short, but I have to hold my breath every time he throws the ball. Sounds like you're knocking him, and you shouldn't. Zach Lindsay, Dylan Cruz, Tommy White, best back-to-back bats in the country ever. I don't know about ever, but I mean, they're very good. Hunter Fournette with two guys back. I'm cool with Beloso or Bear in the 5-hole. I mean, it should be Beloso. I mean, it should be the lineup you had where you go Dugas, Morgan, Cruz, White, Beloso 5, go Jones 6, Joe Bear 7, Thompson 8, Milazzo 9. I mean, that should be the batting order. I mean, I'm not the coach. Jay can do what he wants. Obviously, he's way smarter than me. I'm not saying that. But I like having that production in the bottom third of your lineup with um, with Joe Bear, Thompson, then Milazzo in the 9-hole. Joey Mecki, good morning, Matt. What are you more interested in today, football, spring game, or LSU baseball? The only thing I'm really interested in with the spring game is making sure nobody gets hurt. And number 2 would be seeing the new guys on defense. But the offense is going to be very vanilla. I don't think you're going to see much of anything. I understand it's for a lot of people, it's just an opportunity to see LSU put on the uniform and get in Tiger Stadium and run around and play a little bit. And it's going to be a beautiful day. So all that I'm on board with and I totally understand. But like LSU baseball is playing meaningful games right now of great significance when you're in conference play and road weekend. So yeah, I'm very interested to see how they do today against Hunter Elliott. Kenny Bergeron, could Herring come back for an inning or 2 Sunday? Maybe. He only threw 42 pitches, Kenny. So yes, it wouldn't surprise me if they wanted to bring him back in like a stopper situation on Sunday. That's something that I think would be very reasonable. Good question. Devin Kelly, good morning. Barry Joslin, glad to see Tanks beat the seams off the ball for that grand slam. Again, he really didn't. It went 404 feet. It would not have been a home run at Alex Box Stadium. It would have hit off the wall. But anyway, that's why I hate that park. I hate that park. I hate Carolina's park. I hate Tennessee's park. I hate Georgia's park. I hate all these little bitty ball fields. Like Georgia down the line and right is like 310. It's ridiculous. It's like a pop-up goes out. It's just... Eduardo Bianco should have pulled that pitcher. Which one? Starter? Before White hit the granny? Maybe so. Hindsight's 2020. I mean... Ryan Pike, is it too soon to confidently say LSU will be hosting a regional? Regional? Absolutely, they'll be hosting a regional. I mean, your top 16 host regionals. The thing that you can't have is a collapse down the stretch that costs you a top 8 national seed. That's almost impossible to imagine at this point, considering who you have left. I don't think you have a ranked opponent left on your schedule. Bama was ranked. They're not ranked anymore. Mississippi State is not ranked. Auburn is not ranked. And Georgia's not ranked. Yeah, so like you should... you should win every remaining series. If you do, you'll be at... You'll have to sweep one to get to 20 because of... you're not playing that final game against South Carolina. But if you're 19-10 in the conference, or 20-9, or 21-8, I mean, yes, of course, you're going to be a national seed, of course. Barry Johnson watching 20 pitch is an event. He's just different. Damon Gilmore. Pat Dean, good morning, Matt. Excuse the ignorant question. Will the spring game be on ESPN Plus? Yes, they do stream the spring games. Yes, they do. So you'll be able to stream it if you want. Nick Newbill, good morning, Mac Daddy Donk. Mac Daddy Donk. What time is the spring game called? 1 o'clock. Broadcast starts at 1. I believe the game itself is going to start at 1:20. At least that's the time we were given for radio, because the game is going to be on 104.5 ESPN. So broadcast time is 1 o'clock. Start is 1:20. That's what we were told for radio. Murder Giraffe, good morning. Mississippi Muso. Trivia Carter, what's up? E-Rock's not up yet. She's still sleeping. Let's see. Nick Newbill said, don't see what Bianco was thinking leaving his pitcher in over 100 pitches, struggling, bases loaded, top RBI hitter come to the plate. Yeah, so they went walk, single by Morgan, walk to Dugas, single by Morgan, walk to Cruz, so bases loaded for White. The only thing I could think there, and again, I don't know this, but they look at all the splits and everything, so maybe so Rivas was a lefty and the reliever they brought in was a righty, and maybe they were looking at splits of Tommy White against lefties versus righties, and they wanted the lefty in there. I don't know. I'm guessing, but that's probably the only thing I could have imagined. I mean, his day was obviously nearing an end, but maybe they were playing matchups there. Again, I don't know. Connor O'Neill, what's up? Any chance we see Coleman this weekend? Yeah, Jay said there's a good chance we see him this weekend. Situation will have to present itself, right? But I think so. Jump back over here to Facebook. Let's see. Kelly Gross, good morning from Ireland again. All right, Kelly Gross. Blake DeVilliers, why aren't college baseball fields required the same size? That's no baseball field is. It's the charm of the game, right? Every field is different. Every field has its own quirks and idiosyncrasies. I think it's stupid because the pitching mound is 60 feet 6 inches. The bases are 90 feet apart. Like, there's a lot, the plate is 17 inches. Like, there's a lot of things that are standard in baseball, and yet everybody can have a different size or dimensions to their outfield, which I just think is stupid. Mark, put Musa in charge of women's basketball. Brian Jones, Matt, what do you want to see from the spring game? Yeah, just stay healthy, see the new defensive players. That's really it. Jeff McKithen, good morning. Tyler Alexander, good morning. Honeymoon in Cabo. All right, dude. Congrats to you and the missus on the nuptials. Looked like an awesome time. Saw Darren James officiated the ceremony. Great to see. Hope y'all had an awesome day, man. Enjoy the honeymoon. Bubba Tatum, unrelated, your ability to police your language is never more impressive than when I watch AFR Morning Scone after finishing an episode of Scone and Tea. That's when you have to make sure that your head is ahead of your mouth. Like when I'm doing Scone and Tea or whiskey and wine or anything else, right? Or just life, head and mouth are synchronized. When I'm on air, head ahead of mouth. Think it before you say it. That's the rule. Ryan Thibodeau, good morning. Tanya Grant, tell me a little about Plainsman Park. Finally getting to watch Skeens pitch. Unfortunately, not at the box. Joys of living in Alabama. So Plainsman Park has their kind of like mini monster and left. It's a beautiful park. It's small and quaint. It's kind of tucked right alongside Jordan Hare. But they have their wall in left field that they call like the mini monster, like the green monster in Fenway. So they have like a wall in left field. Let's see. I'll look up the dimensions of it. Left is 315, so it's short and left. But again, that wall is 30 feet tall or whatever it is. The power alleys are 365. I'm sorry, 380. Left center is 385. Center is 385. Right center is 360. And right field is 331. So you can get it out if you're a lefty and you're a pull hitter to the right side. Furnish's ball would have been a homer at Plainsman Park. Okay. All right, my apologies, y'all. That stopped Drew's backpack. All right, smash that like button if you would on YouTube. 147 watching, only 34 likes. Come on, y'all, we can get that like button up. Just take a quick second. Smash that like button. Brought to you by Brock, Banner's Orthopedic Clinic, HUDCO Roofing, HUDCOroofing.com. You need Northeast, go to Brock. Need a roof, call HUDCO. As a matter of fact, look at Ryan Thibodeau. I need a roof inspection. Can you pin a link? I will drop that in right here. HUDCOroofing.com. Ryan, click this link. I'm gonna drop it in here. Click this link and if you're on mobile, it'll pop up on the main screen. If you're on a desktop, right side, you'll see the inspection form. So just fill out the inspection form, and someone will be in touch with you pronto to get that taken care of. Yeah, man, all the rain came through yesterday. Like, I'm telling y'all, this is one thing, that piece of advice I'll give. A lot of people say, oh, I need a roof. I'll wait to see if a storm comes, and then I could file a storm insurance claim for hurricane or whatever. Most of the time, so check your policy, and this is why it's good to work with a roofer. Most of the time, your wind hail deductible is going to be less than your named storm deductible. So, for example, if you had damage from the storm yesterday, that could probably be filed under a wind hail, or last week, that terrible weather that rolled through. Like, damage can be, you just need that date, right? So damage can be tied to that date, so you can file a wind hail deductible, and that's probably lower than your named storm deductible. So waiting for a hurricane or something like that. Plus, you'd rather get your roof fixed before a hurricane comes. So, yes, I would strongly encourage people, like, don't wait for storm season for a hurricane to come and say, okay, then I'll get my roof fixed. But then, like, if you do have a storm and then there's widespread damage, which of course none of us want to have happen, but then, like, how much longer are you waiting to get your roof fixed? It's why it's a benefit to be proactive with it. Chris Doman, have you watched the Edna Carr documentary? I have not. Patrick Landry, did you see the other top baseball team losses and series losses? As you say, baseball is a hard game. LSU keeps winning series even though they're not sweeps. Yeah, look, I mean, Tennessee walked off Andy. Big win for them as they try to get their the train back on the track there. Kevin Banta, good morning. Going to boil some crawfish, watch the spring game in baseball. All right, Kevin, have a great day. Samuel Merrifield with Bryce Collins improving, Ackenhousing returning, Coleman returning to the bullpen, maybe getting stabilized. Look, Samuel, I think that is really the ideal scenario. Bryce Collins has had 5 or 6 really good outings now in a row. Ackenhausen coming back, see what you can get out of him. It's another lefty. And then Coleman obviously is another lefty in the bullpen. At least it's giving you options, right? And you don't have to say, man, Griffin Herring, Gavin Guidry, I need y'all to be perfect every time out, right? Tavanka De Silva, good morning from Sri Lanka. Hope to see more depth in each position at the spring game. It'll help in the fall. You definitely have that defensively, Tavanka. And then keep in mind on the offensive line, you know, you're going to get Mason Lunsford, the Maryland transfer. He's not here yet, but he'll be here in the summer. And then you'll be adding Lance Hurd as well. So, yeah, the cavalry's on the way. Greg Duga, I can't wait for spring game. Heard we've been perfecting toss dives and jet sweeps. Oh, man. All right, let's see. Jump back over here to YouTube. Raymond, good morning. What's the best case scenario with Coleman? Can they work him up to starting and going 5 to 6 innings by the postseason? Is that realistic? Yeah, that's realistic, Raymond. I think that. So you said, what is the best case scenario? That's the best case scenario. What's a realistic scenario? I think that is your realistic best case. Maybe you fall somewhere in between. If Herring and Ackenhausen are really good lefties out of the bullpen, I would say this. Raymond. Oh, good. C-Mac. Okay. That comment was probably 20 minutes ago now, but I want to address that. Good. It's about the official scoring. So, let me talk Raymond first. So, Coleman. Best case is Ty Floyd figures it out and Christian Little figures it out and is a stud too. And then Coleman becomes a luxury out of the bullpen. If either of those guys falter and Coleman keeps getting better and can extend, and he can give you 4 or 5, he can give you 75 to 100 pitches an outing. Cool. Yeah, that'd be great. And yes, I do think that's realistic if you consider you still have really 2 more months of the season. Um, if he goes from 16 pitches the other day to, let's say, the next outing he throws 30, and 30 becomes 50, right? And you start to move. And you could see that when you get into June, you get to postseason. Gregory Gordy, good morning. Okay, CMAC. All right, so I mentioned, I think Brian Lazar is the official scorer now at the box. For years, it was Joe Macaluso. And then I wasn't perfectly convinced of this, CMAC. I wasn't sure. I thought you had done it. I didn't realize you did it for this long. So Chris Macaluso says he scored games at the box after his dad did for like a decade. Okay. White was a hit last night. Thompson was a hit. Cruz was rightfully scored a triple, which of course it was. Look, respect to my guys on the broadcast last night. They kept alluding to the fact that the left fielder misplayed the ball. Could he have caught the ball? Yes. Very tough catch. It would have had to been an elevated catch against the wall. That is hardly a routine play. And the ball was 2 feet from going out. So yes, of course that was a triple. So Joe Bear's gaff against Kentucky was an error. So that's where I would disagree with you, C-Mac. Like, Joe Bear didn't touch the ball. Like, he overran it. There should be some distinction. Or let me say it this way. I wish there were some distinction where you could say, yeah, that's like, those are unearned runs. But I don't know how you give him an error. It's like the example I gave last weekend was, remember the Tennessee weekend? I think it was Pearson who had a pop-up on the infield, and the Tennessee guys just stood around and bounced right off the mound. Well, he got a double on that. Well, I mean, that was clearly, who on Tennessee's team do you give the error to? I don't know. But, that was a defensive miscue. That wasn't a double, but it goes in the scorebook as a double. So I get, for consistency's sake, why it has to be scored as it was. But anyway, I don't know what the official score was looking at last night with those two plays. Gregory Gordy, Skeens 95-96 a coaching choice, meaning coach choosing pitches for a game plan? No. If the coach calls a fastball, you throw a fastball. When you throw 117 pitches, it's plausible that your velo drops. Ty Floyd, Bryce Collins, Guidry today. I think circumstance matters, Zach. Probably, but again, what if you're ahead by 15? Then you can throw Blake Money out there or me. Just whatever. Just get through it at that point. Educator Matt, Gavin Guidry really bounced back after last outing. Great for the future. Bounced back after last outing. Guidry's been great. Oh, sorry. Okay, you said sorry, meant Griffin Herring. Herring's been great too. He's been your best lefty out of the bullpen. He'll be a rotation guy before he's done. Wendell Norman, Pat Dean. Excuse another ignorant question. It's okay, Pat. Why does Ole Miss have a smaller ballpark than other teams? Because every team can decide whatever dimensions they want for their park. There's no standard. The only standard is the standard rules of baseball, which are 90 feet between the bases, 60 feet 6 inches, 17 inches for home plate, all that stuff. Devin Kelly thought Hunter Elliott was gone for the year. That was, early in the season. I remember talking to Kendall Rogers about this on AFR, and that's kind of what he alluded to. And it's because it's a UCL injury. That's the Tommy John injury. And he's got a strained UCL. And for a guy that has that kind of big league future, to have a UCL injury and to try to come back and pitch through it is really bizarre. And I hope the best for that kid. I do not want to see him re-injure or further injure that. Obviously, I want LSU to beat the tar out of him today. But, man, that is, if I'm an Ole Miss fan, I'm holding my breath today. Jesse Post, did you see where Joe Burrow and some other Tiger alumni are in for the spring game? I did see that. They were here last year as well. Joe Burrow came for last year's spring game, which was his first time back in Baton Rouge since being drafted. Damon Gilmore, Georgia's been playing decent. They have. They've been playing better. Brendan Huff, thoughts on how LSU painted the field for today? Yeah, I'm good with it, Brendan. They usually don't do anything dramatic. It's not. It doesn't look like it does for a normal game. So they painted the state of Louisiana logo with the path at center field. Jesus, you tell me in baseball mode at midfield. Then the end zones say LSU, and then there's like purple, gold, purple stripes on either side in the corners of the end zone. It looks nice, but that's not what they're going to do for the games. Gregory Gordy, don't want to jinx it, as LSU won multiple natties in the same year, possibly this year with women's basketball and baseball. No, I mean, Gregory, unless you want to count like in the 90s when LSU won like 10 consecutive women's outdoor track and field national championships. So they won those championships the same year that the years baseball won national championships under Bertman, LSU also won women's outdoor national championships in track and field. So I don't necessarily think that's what you mean. I think you're probably talking about like the major sports. But so they have done it, just not in like football, baseball, basketball, softball, women's basketball. Yeah, Barry asked the same question about baseball fields not being standard. I mean, every time I bring that up to a baseball person, I get laughed at. Like, no, you got to have the green monster in Fenway. You got to have the short porch at Yankee Stadium in right field. And, you know, I remember at Minute Maid when they used to have the flagpole in the field of play in center. They had that ramp. It was like the ramp up in center where and the flagpole was in the field of play. It's like, yeah, that's not dangerous at all. I mean, Monument Park at Yankee Stadium used to be in the field of play. Like in center field with all the monuments to all the retired jerseys. Monument Park, like in the 70s, used to be in the field of play. Yeah, that's not dangerous. Just little headstones all over the outfield. I mean, whatever. I get laughed at every time I bring it up. So, see, I disagree with this. Reed Rule said the bigger the park, the better. TD Ameritrade in Omaha is a behemoth. So they don't call it TD Ameritrade anymore, number one. And it actually doesn't play that big anymore, Reed. Obviously, college baseball changing the bats, lowering the seams on the baseball. The ball does leave that yard now. The dimensions aren't ridiculous. It's just the way that it was situated in downtown Omaha. The old Rosenblatt was a ballpark on a hill. Like if you never went to Rosenblatt, it was literally elevated. It was built up on a hill, and so it was just this giant jet stream. Balls would get in the air, then just fly out of that park. And then, of course, all the players were using rocket launchers, so it was way easier to hit homers back then at Rosenblatt than TD Ameritrade, which is downtown. So, like, you don't have the wind that plays as much of a difference as it would have at Rosenblatt. You know, blowing out. The dimensions are different. They deaden the bats and they raise seams on the ball. So they're really taking offense out of the game. With them making the bats more offensive and lowering the seams on the ball, you have seen more offense at the College World Series. And I disagree with the bigger the park, the better, because I thought, like when LSU went to Omaha in 2013, that was here's my differentiator, Reed. I think a park shouldn't play such that when a pitcher makes a mistake and a good hitter puts a good swing on a bad pitch, the pitcher shouldn't be rewarded. And that's what happened in 2013. That was my problem with that park then. LSU played UCLA, and UCLA's pitcher, wasn't his name Berger? Berger, wasn't that the kid's name? Aiden Berger. I'm pretty sure. Or David Berger? Was it David Berger? David Berger. He was the closer. Never mind. I can't. Anyway, that year, UCLA had a pitcher. This kid had pitched against LSU, and he was throwing mid-upper 80s, and he was throwing meatballs. And I remember this. I will never forget this. Chris Chinea murdered a baseball. Kid threw it 86, letter high, and Chinea murdered it to center field, and it was a fly ball out. Like, that's not baseball. If you're a pitcher and you throw a meatball over the plate and a good hitter puts a good swing on it, as a pitcher, you should not be rewarded for that. And that park, at the time, rewarded pitchers for making bad pitches. That's not. And I'll tell you that Maneri changed his approach after that. I remember asking him about it. He wouldn't acknowledge it totally, but that's a reason why after that, Maneri recruited center fielders and shortstops. He had shortstops all over the infield and center fielders all over the outfield, because he knew in that ballpark, to win in that ballpark, you were gonna have to defend. You were gonna have to catch everything in the outfield and cover lots of. That's why you saw Stevenson and Laird and Fraley. I mean, you just had a bunch of center fielders out there, and they were awesome. You looked at that infield, and it was a bunch of dudes that all played shortstop their whole career. And they darn near won it in 2019 or 2017. They were 2 games away. Anyway, okay, whatever. So I disagree. Bigger the ballpark, the better. I don't always agree with that. I don't think that's a hard and fast true rule. But I similarly don't think that a player should be able to mishit a good pitch and be rewarded with a homer. And sometimes you have that in bitty ball fields like the one that they're playing at this weekend. 365 to the alleys. Get out of here. I don't like seeing the name Furnace on the back of the Ole Miss jersey. How do you think Ole Miss fans feel about seeing Bianco on the back of an LSU jersey? When Drew was here, right? The coach is there for 20 years, and his son leaves Oxford, who's raised in Oxford, leaves and goes to LSU. Dave Endur, good morning. Michael Roby, good morning. Today, Bear Jones couldn't eat. He had a rough day yesterday, man. Danny Braywick. Troy Hebert, why is it so hard for you to acknowledge that Thompson isn't accurate when throwing to first? He bounces the ball quite often. He's good with his range, needs to work on his throwing. Because Troy Hebert, I think the acknowledgement is that you don't watch enough baseball. Jacob Gonzalez is going to be a top 10 pick in the draft this summer. Yesterday, he was charging the baseball and had an errant throw on the Thompson play we're talking about. Like, you see more errors on the left side of the infield. That's just a fact. You see more errors on the left side of the infield because it is a longer throw. It's harder to get to the ball and you have a longer throw. That's why you put your better athletes with a better arm over there. It's not always going to be precise. Why is it so hard for you to acknowledge that guys on the left side of the infield will commit errors? Like, that's just what happens. Look at any baseball team in the history of mankind and who leads the team in errors. It's going to be the third baseman and the shortstop. Those also happen to be your best defenders. That's why, Troy. Let's see. Yeah, Arkansas losing the first 2 games to Georgia is big. And honestly, had LSU played the third game against South Carolina and won it, you'd be leading the West right now. But that's the advantage LSU has with the schedule down the stretch, is your schedule lightens up considerably, and even though you lost a game each of the first 5 series, you won each of those series. Obviously, you tied the South Carolina series 1-1, but you kept yourself right there to where everything is attainable that you want to attain, as other teams have to play more difficult series. Let's see. Since we're talking difference in sports and stadiums, has anyone ever seen baseball fans rush the field? Yeah, there's a you ever seen that old video of Reggie Jackson plowing over fans as he's heading toward home? As fans rush the field after What year was that? Hang on, I don't want to find it. I should know that offhand. Hang on. So it was 77. Yeah, there it was. It was 77. October 18th, 1977. When fans were rushing the field. I think that was Reggie Jackson's 3-homer night. Let's see. David Durr Cruz needs a new bat. Herring got sold up by the defense last week. The hill at Minute Maid. Let's see. Gulf South said, you said since Joe Bear didn't touch the ball, you disagree with C-Mac calling his miss last week an error. However, you agree with White's hit last night being a hit, although the shortstop touched it. Why? Because that's not binary. Just because you touch a ball doesn't mean it's an error. And like you see that very often. It's a judgment call for the official score. When Tommy White, and I don't know what the exit velocity was. I don't know if LSU was able to post TrackMan when they were on the road. I wish they could. Sorry, I just looked at my Twitter. Let me see. I don't think they have it. Gulf South. 1 second. Here you go. Okay. Tommy White at the top two exit speeds last night, 110.9 and 109.9. I'm assuming one of those was the homer and one of those was the first inning smash. Well, I'll tell you right now. Hang on. Oh, it's April 13th. Dag nabbit. Okay. Okay, no, so they don't tell you which one was which. Okay, so I'm going to assume Gulf South. And by the way, he's got 3 of the top 4. And but whoever was saying that about Dylan Cruz's exit speed, Cruz had 107.5 and 105.1. So the top 2 were Tommy White, 110.9, 109.9. Dylan Cruz, 107.5. Tommy White, 107.5. Cruz at 105.1 and Cruz at 100 even. That's exit velo off the bat. So one of those 3, 110, 109, 107 off the bat. One of those 3 was Tommy White's smash in the first inning. Okay. 100, let's say it's the 107 mile an hour. Okay. 107 miles an hour off the bat to the backhand side of the shortstop, who was not able to get in front of the ball. Like, that should not be considered a routine play that the shortstop should make. Like, everyone agreed that guy should not get an error for the play. I think you do as well. So the question is, though, then, because I understand why you're asking. You're saying Joe Bear didn't touch the ball. My point is, we see it all the time. When an outfielder misplays, overruns a ball. On Tuesday night against ULL, Morgan and Cruz on back-to-back hitters lost the ball in the setting sun, and those were both ruled doubles. Those weren't doubles. Those were routine pop flies that the outfielder lost. Do you give him an error? No, you don't give him an error. Lost the ball. They misplayed it. Like they just lost. They misjudged it, lost it. Same thing happened to Joe Barry. He just misplayed the baseball in the outfield. Like, was it his fault? Should a play have been made? Yes. But you don't credit those guys with errors. Like, you don't. So, anyway. Had Joe Bear hit the ball, had he overrun it, come back to it, hit his glove, and it fallen, then yeah, that's an error. But it didn't. He just overran the baseball. Like I'm with you in the fact that like the compromise is I wish baseball had some type of official scoring mechanism that could acknowledge a defensive miscue without calling it an error. I know that sounds stupid because that's what a defensive miscue is. But then how do you not give an error to Morgan and Cruz the other night when they should have caught those balls? You know what I mean? Like it's like the old thing, like you can't assume a double play. It's why if the like if you're trying to turn a double play, you can't award an error if the throw is late to first. You can't assume a double play. I mean, I get it, but you got 150 years of baseball history where people try to figure this stuff out, and the best way to do it. It's why it's the system we have right now. So, I mean, it's why Joe Bear didn't get an error last week. It's why Morgan and Cruz didn't get errors on Tuesday. Dave Vinder, they should have a stat called brain fart. Fine, call it whatever you want. You know what I mean? But like, even if it's something where you just don't. If it's not an error, but the runs are considered unearned. I don't know. I mean, you have weird things like defensive indifference, like on stolen bases or your catcher's indifference, where a catcher just allows someone to steal a base. It's, whenever you have a strikeout, but the catcher drops the ball or misplays it, gets to the backstop, and the runner gets first. We have an extra out in the inning. It's just, there are ways to do it. I just don't think there's ever been enough of an appetite to do it. But whatever. Raymond, Matt, you never want to predict it or expect a sweep of the remaining SEC series. What's our best chance to sweep? Mississippi State. State just took 2 out of 3 from Ole Miss. I think next week at home against Alabama, you got a really good chance. I'd probably look at the home series, Bama and Mississippi State. As somebody just mentioned, Georgia just won 2 out of 2 against Arkansas. They go for a sweep today. So it's tougher to win on the road. So I would say look at your home series next week against Bama or against Mississippi State. Barry Johnson, football question. We live in Florida, want to see the FSU LSU game. How do we know where to buy tickets at Camping World Stadium to be with other LSU fans? What sideline will be on? Does anybody know? Get your tickets through LSU, Barry. Through the LSU allotment. And then when you get closer to the game, they'll denote, so Florida State, I'm assuming, will be the home team. So look at whatever sideline in Camping World is the visitor sideline, which will be denoted. Like you can go look at a seating chart and it'll show you home sideline, visiting sideline, and that's where LSU will be a visitor. Let's see. The hill in Minute Maid was dangerous, but did give us one of the best catches I've ever seen. Let's see. Gulf South third baseman and shortstop have more errors due to more balls getting hit to that side. I've never looked at the percentage base stat though. But second base, you also have a shorter throw. Like you're less likely ever to have an errant throw from second base because you have a shorter throw. And there are more right-handed hitters that are going to be dead pull hitters as opposed to left-handed hitters in a lineup. That's the other thing too, y'all. I don't know if you'll notice this, man. I hate to say this out loud, but it is so obvious Gavin Dugas is not even close to being right. And I feel for him, man. I respect so much the fact that he's out there grinding and getting it. But that injury is so much more significant than there. Jay said a shoulder bruise. There is no way. I get it. It's gamesmanship. You don't want to let on that it's anything. Y'all, there was a play yesterday. It was a single to right. Joe Bear relayed it in to Dugas, who underhand tossed the relay throw to Jordan Thompson. And if you notice, I think he had 2 chances at second last night. His throws to first are all elbow. It's like shoot a jump shot. He does not wind. It's all right here. It's just this. It's just this. And then there was the play, I believe it was in the 8th, where you'll know exactly when I say it if you watch the whole game, where Thompson made the play left of second base. He basically, ranging to his left, was 5 steps left of second base and jumped in front of Dugas and made the play. It was a brilliant play, but, and I know what some of you are going to argue. You're going to say, well, Dugas would have been charging the ball away from first base and Thompson was charging toward first base, which is true, but that was such a long run and that was the second baseman's ball. But I think Thompson knew his guy couldn't make that throw, and he went and took the ball. Just keep an eye on that. I hope he gets better. I hope he continues to improve. But I get it, man. This is probably it for Gavin, right? You know, I mean, this is it as far as his final season at LSU. Wearing the number 8, and obviously being at the top, he doubled yesterday, so being at the top of the lineup matters. But that stinks. If you didn't notice it yesterday, pay attention to it today. That's a bummer, man. It's just so clear his arm is not right, and I don't know if it will be this year. All right. Disco Demolition Night, yeah. See, the Hank Aaron home run, I don't know if did a ton of people charge, or like did you just have like the young kids that ran on the field to go shake his hand? I don't really remember if it was like a full-on charge the field. Gregory Gordy, how in the heck did you remember 2013 burger stat? Geez, great job. I remember watching that game, and it was such a huge talking point. I think it was a fundamental change for LSU baseball. He missed the ball but didn't touch it. Not an error. It's digital. That's so good. All right. Earl Dugas started the rally. Yeah, look, though he walked. I get it, and he doubled in the game as well. Listen. He can bat. He can hit. He can swing the bat. He can't throw the baseball. So I don't know if I don't know. I mean, you could DH him, but the problem is if you DH him, then either Jones or Beloso come out of the lineup, and then Napolt or Merrifield goes to second. So my biggest concern, and I'll say this out loud, my biggest concern is I don't think you're going to be able to turn a 6-4-3 double play. And I hope that doesn't cost them at some point, but dude is a total gamer, and I respect the heck out of it, man. But I do worry defensively about him at second. And listen, no harm, no foul last night, right? I mean, he handled the ball as it came his way. And I want his bat in the lineup. But that is a tough call. Hopefully, it just keeps getting better and better as they go along. You know, hopefully over the next week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, he's getting treatment constantly, just keeps feeling better and better and better. But boy, it's obvious, man. It hurt. So Dave said, think swinging the bat is painful also. The good thing for Gavin is it's his right shoulder, his throwing shoulder, and as a right-handed hitter, like you're going to get your power from your left hand pulling through. So, like it's his shoulder. So, I mean, like as a guy, like I have a torn labrum, like like I've never had it surgically operated on or anything like that. But like for me, I have no problem swinging a bat or a golf club or anything like that. But I cannot wind up and throw a baseball, like, or a football anymore. Like I have to just, when I throw a baseball now, it's just what he was doing. Like, it's all right here. It's just all elbow in front. Like I can't wind up and throw, or it just shreds. So like he may have some discomfort because he did. I mean, he separated the shoulder too, y'all. Like that's Jay's not because he separated it and he popped it back in, and there's probably other stuff going on there too. But I mean, when you separate your shoulder, you have other stuff, right? But swinging the bat is doable. Throwing the baseball, like the wind up motion, is what's going to put all the stress on your shoulder. But swinging the bat is very doable. I'm not saying there's discomfort again, but like he can swing it far easier than he can throw it. Deborah Coward, good morning. Almost done. Let's see. Samuel, do you think Thatcher Hurd is done for the year? No, I mean, he'll pitch again. I just don't know if they're going to put him in any leverage situations unless he proves he can start to improve. Ryan Thibodeau, Dad and I went to the UCLA game. Terrible. Balls didn't go anywhere. It was terrible. Yeah, that UCLA team hit. I mean, they were a West Coast small ball team. I mean, it was get them on, bunt them over, steal a base, hit and run. It was just all, they were pesky. And that ballpark played perfect for them. Corey Vuleman, good morning. What's your take on Cruz wins the Golden Spikes? I mean, he should win. As of now, I mean, if they were going to give it to anybody today, he'd win it. You got half of conference play in the postseason still to go, so a long way to go. But if they were going to award it today, he'd win it. Ryan Thibodeau, Dugas sounds like a torn rotator cuff or labrum. Probably can't raise his upper arm above his shoulder. Swinging would be painless. I'll tell you, he dislocated it. I know that. And one of the other two things you mentioned, I think, is also right. And it's unfortunate. But get him treatment. See what he can do, man. Dude's a gamer. Go get it. So, all right, y'all. I think we're just about done. Good show today, man. Appreciate y'all for being here. As always, shout out to Brock, Hudco. Need an orthopedist, go to Brock. After Hours Clinic is open. So, you can always pop in to Brock. And as an alternative to the ER, maybe you're playing in the yard and you separate your shoulder. You don't have to go to the ER. You can go to Brock. They can help you out. And Hudco Roofing, of course. Love to give you that free, no obligation roofing inspection. You can learn more at Hudco Roofing, HudcoRoofing.com. ProCharge EV, I have ProCharge pin. Before you go, remember, but what's today's the 22nd? It's got less than 10 days left, man. Free EV charger plus installation, 3 of them given away at the end of this month. ProCharge is. The link is pinned, ProChargeEV.com. So if you own a business anywhere in Louisiana or any commercial building, fill out that form, enter to win a free EV charger from ProCharge EV, ProChargeEV.com. Okay, y'all have an awesome, awesome Saturday. Let's go Tigers. Let's get this series win. And we'll see y'all tomorrow for Morning Scone. Peace.